All right, it's Andy and Jonathan coming to you tonight from Aviator with the Fantasy Football Grace League update.
That's what you got.
That's what you got. So we're going to talk about the two leagues and what happened this week. Some of you guys did good. Some guys did not so good. So we'll start with my league, which is, I don't know what the name of it is, but you know if you're in my league because you know. So it's a league with me and not Jonathan.
It's the losers league.
The losers league, no. But we'll talk through that league. So in that league, the standings after 5 weeks are Steve Smith, old man, is 5-0, hasn't lost a game yet.
It's kind of opposite of the Ravens.
Yes, exactly. So somebody's got to take him down. Then we have 3 other teams. Oh, and I will say this.
I saw the worst commercial tonight, and it was with Flacco. It was horrible. I mean, horrible.
Well, I will say Steve picked right in front of me in the draft, and just about every pick he stole from me, and now he's 5-0.
What, so, you were drafting all Baltimore players?
No. No, but I was going to Antonio Brown was just falling to me.
So, wait.
And then he picked him up.
So was he stabbing you in the back to keep you? I mean, is that
something like that? Yeah, something like that. So somebody out there needs to take Steve Smith down a notch.
Stab him in the back. I mean, whatever. Something.
And then we have 3 teams at 4-1, wow. 2 teams at 3-2, 3 teams at 2-3, 1 team at 1-4.
No one will remember that.
And 2 teams that shall not be named that are 0 and 5.
Is Keffer 0 for something?
I'm not saying.
0 for Keffer. Who's the other person? Who's the not Keffer?
I'm not saying.
Okay.
All right, so
Andy.
No, it was not me. No.
Okay.
I finally won my second game.
All right.
So I'm 2 and whatever. All right. So the first game was me versus Keffer. So I hope.
Obviously you won.
Obviously I won.
And but Keffer's a champion, right?
He did
win
a champion before.
Yeah. He's a champion.
And I was a former champion too.
Yeah.
The first.
I've lost in the championship game.
All right. So
I'm the Vikings. I'm the Vikings. I have made it to the Final Four like twice. I made a championship once. I'm the Vikings or the Atlanta Braves. Either one.
Or the Bills.
Bills. Oh, definitely Bills.
You're the Bills. All right. So so I defeated Rob 111-105.
Actually, the Braves won championships. The other teams didn't. So that's not. I hated the Braves bashing. Anyway.
Right. All right. So I defeated Rob, and I rode the New England train to victory. I had, even though I hate New England.
Wicked.
I hate New England, but for fantasy purposes,
dude, they were playing the Cowboys. I'm a Cowboys fan, and I had Lewis as running back.
Yep.
And every time I'm like, if they're going to score, it better be Lewis. And Christian, I was playing, he had Gronk. And I'm like, don't throw it to Gronk, don't throw it to Gronk.
So yeah, I had Lewis, Tom Brady, and the New England.
Lewis had a good day.
And the New England defense.
Yeah.
So between all of those, I had 59 of my 111 points came from those 3 places. Rob had a monster game from Tyler Eifert, I think it is, like 29 points from the tight end, but it wasn't enough with the rest of his team. So the next game was Jeff defeated Bill 144-119. 144 is a pretty good score unless you're auto. Jeff rode the Freeman and Martin running back duo train to victory. So he had 60 points, over 60 points just from those 2 players alone.
Wow. You're almost guaranteed to win when that happens.
Yes. Yeah,
almost.
I mean, well, Bill scored 119. I mean, that was a good score. It just wasn't enough when he ran into that buzzsaw. Steve, the evil one, defeated Charlie 133-104. Steve got 21 points from the Bronco defense and 28 points from Eli Manning.
When somebody rolls a 20 on D, you're like, you're done. You're going to lose.
You got nothing.
Yeah, that's not.
It's not going to happen. The closest game in our league this week was Nate versus Ryan. So Nate defeated Ryan 116-114. Let me look and see. I can't remember what was the turning tipping point there. So Ryan had 22. Oh, this is the one where Ryan had Le'Veon Bell, which got the touchdown right at the end of the game and got him close, but not quite close enough. And then Nate had Hasselback and Aaron Foster, and he had just a solid bunch of people with double digit 16, 14 points. So and I think that Ryan was killed because he started David Carr and got 9 points, and he had the unreliable Colin Kaepernick on his bench with 20 points. So that would have been the difference.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Let's get to The other one, Andy Ellington defeated Joe 104-91. And Mike P defeated Chester 144-91. Yeah, and he had, let's see, what was his biggest?
I mean, it's hard to beat anybody with that kind of score. I mean, you got to have a freakish week, really.
Yeah, he had Andy Dalton with 27, Hopkins with 27, and Antonio Gates, first week back, 30 points.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was a ridiculous score that he had there. He couldn't do anything. I mean, Chester had some good points. He had his, Beckham finally had a good game, and Sanders got him. They both got him over 20 points, but it just wasn't enough. So.
We had some high scores in our league. We had 2 guys in the 130s, 1 in the 140s, and then we had Otto with 179. And if he'd have played the right guys, he had over 200.
He had over 200. He had at least 20-some points on his bench that he could have had in the game. Because I think he had, hang on, I can tell you. He had, who was it that he had that he didn't start that he could have? It was, oh, I know who it was. It was Andre Johnson, who hasn't done nothing all year. He had him on the bench with like 27 points or something like that.
I've had a problem with that this year, like the guys that aren't supposed to do. Yeah. Some seasons it's like that. It's like you can't ever get the formula right. And you play the right guy. It's just the way it happens. I mean, that's fantasy.
Yep. All right.
So, I mean, Christian already sent out an email in our league.
No, he didn't. He only sent to us.
Oh, he didn't?
So this hasn't gone out.
Oh, this is
This
a pre.
This is your.
This is a pre.
This
So
is the email
I can
this week.
trump him.
Yes, this is it.
Trump. So anyway, we had. We'll start at the top. So Christian.
It's 4-1.
4-1. There's 5 guys at 3 and 2, 5 at 2 and 3, and then 1 at 1 and 4. So I mean, the league is pretty
close.
I mean, pretty close. I mean, you're only talking a couple games from between the top and the 11th person. I mean, so it's pretty tight. We got a couple. It's funny because our lowest scores were in the same game. Brian defeated Robert 92-90. I mean, why couldn't I have played those guys? I mean, seriously, they sucked. But anyway, that's the closest game. It was a 2-point game, and they were the bottom feeders. So, although Robert did have 3 players on a bench that if he started them, he would have won. But that's fantasy. Matt defeated Chris 112-76. I mean, 76. Did you even fill out your roster? I mean, what is that? 3 guys and one. Anyway, I mean, does Chris have all Redskins on his team? I mean, it's horrible, horrible. So then Jeffrey defeated Derek 135. Now look, when you think 76 is bad, it's 71. I mean, 71. I mean, look, seriously, you must have somebody.
He had Detroit defense that got him -1.
There was somebody on IR. We don't even have IR.
Look, he had Stafford that got pulled. You can't help that. He ended up with only 5 points. And Kobe Fleener got 2 points.
I mean, if you get in the 70s multiple weeks in a row, you probably get kicked out of the league for not managing your team properly.
I would say something, but I think last week I got like 60 points. It was the worst I've ever done.
Chip defeated Rich. Rich had 105, which is an okay score. I mean, you might win with that, not consistently.
That's not...
But Chip had 142. I mean, you don't usually lose with that. He had a great week. He had Patriots, Brady, and Edelman, and so I mean, he's evil. And if you want to win with that way,
Robinson from Jacksonville with 26 points.
And then Otto, again, as we mentioned earlier, 179 points. And if you play the right guys, he had over 200. I mean, that is ridiculous, and you don't lose that. Although, wasn't there somebody, Derek or somebody a year or 2 ago, that scored like 160 or 70 and lost?
I think so,
yeah. And then the 2 of the top 3 teams last week were my brother and I, and he beat me.
So what? What did you say?
He defeated me.
He defeated you?
Yep.
He slew you?
Yep. I was his meat. He beat his meat this week. He slew me. Cain defeated Abel. So, anyway, he sent me an email about this, about how, the firstborn, but...
Yeah.
Anyway, the biblical example is that the younger one always has favor. Esau over Jacob, Joseph over his brothers. The first shall be last, last shall be first. So although he might win in fantasy football hell, you can reign in hell, my friend. But I am following the way of the righteous.
Yeah, and you keep riding the Jimmy Graham train that's taking you nowhere.
I mean, Graham and I can't get my league right.
And
I left 20-some points on the bench.
You had 22 points from the Green Bay defense on the bench.
But I still would have lost.
Yeah, you would have.
I would have lost by about 7 or 8 points.
That would've given
I
you
had
11.
20-some points. I lost by about 30, and so I would have still been short. That's the way it goes. Long season, guys. Keep it up. Make sure you guys in the 70s are, taking care of your team, playing the right guys, and paying attention. You got an app for that. So anyway, and we'll see what happens. I expect, hopefully, to make the playoffs and at least get the Final Four and finish out
and lose again.
And lose again like the Vikings or Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm just trying to scrape my way into the playoffs.
But if I ever get my name on the trophy,
you're never going to take it back. You'll never get it back.
It's going to be heaven to pay, we'll say.
All right, guys.
We'll
Peace
see
out till next week.